Hello everyone. Welcome to today's session of composite materials classes. As you know, we are discussing about bricks. Okay. So in bricks, we have already discussed about constituents of good brick earth, harmful ingredients. Then in manufacturing of bricks, today we are going to discuss about burning. Okay. So burning, and before that drying is there. Drying is also remaining. Okay. So drying and burning we are going to discuss on in today's class. So these are the things that we have already discussed. Constituents of good bricks, in that silica, alumina, lime, magnesia. Okay, then in harmful ingredients we have discussed about lime, iron pyrites, alkalis, okay, pebbles and vegetations. In manufacturing of brick, we have 4 steps. Preparation of clay we have discussed. Molding we have almost discussed everything. Only a little part is remaining that we are going to finish it. Okay, that little part of molding. Then we are going to discuss drying and burning also. So we will finish the manufacturing process of brick today. Okay. So in preparation of clay, these were the stages that we have discussed. Okay, in molding we have discussed about hand molding. Okay, in machine molding, some part was remaining that we are going to discuss. Okay, in machine molding you say. Okay, till here we have discussed table in hand molding, ground molding and table molding were there that we have discussed. Now in machine molding we have plastic clay machine and dry clay machine. Okay, this type of molding is carried out by 2 processes in machine molding. What are those 2 processes? First is plastic clay machine and second one is dry clay machine. Okay, so let us discuss these 2 types of machine molding. Okay, plastic clay molding. Such machine consists of a rectangular opening having length and width is equal to an ordinary brick. The pugged clay is placed in the machine and it comes out through the rectangular opening. Okay, how it is? Plastic clay molding is there will be rectangular opening. Okay, in this machine. Okay, in this machine molding of plastic clay molding, we will be having a rectangular opening. Okay, so you will be having a rectangular openings like this. In next slide figure is there, I will show you. Okay, so here we will be having a rectangular opening. In that, from that rectangular opening will be having a length and width which is equal to ordinary brick. Okay, so what is the ordinary size of brick is there, no? Okay, length and width of ordinary brick. So same that size will be there for that rectangular opening. Okay, length and width of the rectangular opening will be same as that of the normally ordinary brick. Okay, so the pugged clay is placed inside the machine, then it comes out through the rectangular opening. Okay, so in that machine, plastic clay molding machine, we will put the clay. Okay, so preparation of clay, you know, preparation of clay, then blending and all we have already discussed. So when once here clay is ready, now next is molding. No, in molding, in plastic clay molding machine, we are going to put that prepared clay. Okay, so that clay we will put into the machine. Then after the process, from that rectangular opening, okay, from that rectangular opening, there will be bricks which are coming out. Okay, so these are cut into strips by wire fixed at the frame. Okay, so there will be one wire. When the length of brick gets finished, then it will cut the brick. Okay, then brick will get separated. The arrangement is made in such a way that the strip thickness is equal to that of brick are obtained. So it is called as wire cut bricks. Okay, so in plastic clay molding, the bricks that we get, those are called as wire cut bricks. How it is? See here in the figure. Okay, so this is the figure that you can see. So this is a whole figure. Okay, whole machine. So here there are the wire cutting frame. Okay, so you can see this is a wire cutting frame. Okay, so when the particular length of brick comes out, okay, from here your brick will come out. Understanding? See, these are the rectangular openings. Okay, so this is the rectangular opening here. Okay, rectangular opening will be there here. From these rectangular opening, your bricks are coming out. Okay, so inside the machine you will put the clay. Then from this rectangular opening, your brick will come out. When the length gets over, okay, suppose this is one length of the brick. Okay, so when this length gets over, then with the help of this wire cutting frame, it will cut the brick. Okay, it comes down and it will cut the brick. Then the full portion of your brick goes further. Okay, then again from that rectangular opening, next brick comes. Okay, when the length of the brick gets over, again it will cut with the help of wire cutting frame. So like that, your preparation of bricks will be there, molding of bricks. Okay, one more clear figure is there here. I will show. Okay, here you can see. Okay, so this is here you can see here inside. You cannot see the this one rectangular opening. These are here inside. Okay, here inside it will be there, which are not visible. Okay, when it comes out, okay, when see these will be these bricks will be continuously coming from for full length. Okay, continuously it will be coming. So when the particular length of the brick gets over, okay, when it is coming, when this particular length of the brick gets over, it will cut with the help of wire frame. Okay, so you can see there is a cut of brick. Okay, and then these many bricks will get separated. Again, it will come out from the rectangular opening. So next line of brick. Okay, so continuously like that, the bricks will be coming out from the machine. Okay, so this is called as plastic clay molding. Understood? Plastic clay molding. So this type of molding is called as plastic clay molding, and bricks are called as wire cut bricks. Understood? Next is dry clay molding. Okay, in machine molding, we have two types: plastic clay molding, which we have discussed already. Now we are discussing dry clay molding. In these machines, the strong clay is finally converted into powdered form. Okay, so whatever the clay that we have prepared for preparation of bricks, so that clay will be converted to powder. Okay, so you have to completely dry it, and then you have to make the powder of that clay. Okay, so after making the powder, a small quantity of water is then added to form the stiff plastic paste. Okay, so for that powder, you have to add a small quantity of water. Okay, a very small quantity of water is added to make the stiff plastic paste. Okay, so that paste should be stiff and hard. If you add more amount of water, then it will become very soft. Okay, then here for dry clay machine molding, you should have a stiff plastic paste. Okay, so to make it stiff plastic paste, you should add very little amount of water. Okay, so this addition of water is required just to give the shape to the brick. Okay, just to bring the clay into the shape of brick, we are adding a little amount of water. Such paste is placed in the mold and pressed by machine to form dry and well-shaped bricks. They do not require the process of drying. Okay, so here what we'll do, that stiff plastic paste is there, no, that will be placed into the mold. Okay, then with the help of machine, it will be pressed. Okay, so for in that mold, we are putting the stiff plastic paste, and it will be pressed by the machine. Now here you will get a brick which is well shaped, and here process of drying is not required. Okay, our next process is drying. So for dry clay machine molding, You do not require drying. Why? Because here we have already we have added very little amount of water. Okay, so that's why drying is not required. But for plastic clay molding and hand molding, table molding, for all those types of molding, you will require the drying. But for dry clay machine molding, you do not require drying of bricks. Okay. Now, next step, before burning, we have drying. So in damp bricks, damp bricks means what? Bricks that you have got from plastic clay molding, hand molding, ground molding, and table molding. There, damp brick means bricks which contains more water. Okay, bricks which contains water. Okay, so the damp bricks, if burnt, are likely to be cracked and distorted. Hence, the molded bricks are dried before they are taken for the next operation of burning. Okay, so here here we are telling that why drying is necessary. If you don't go for drying soon after the molding, okay, soon after the molding, if you go for burning without drying, if you go for burning for the damp bricks, what will happen? The bricks will get cracked. Okay, bricks will get cracked and it will get distorted. So that's why before going for burning, we must and should dry our bricks. Okay, after molding, we should dry the bricks. After that, we have to go for burning. For the drying, the bricks are laid longitudinally in the stack with a width equal to 2 bricks. A stack consists of 10 or 8 tires. A brick are laid along and across the stock in alternate layers. All the bricks are placed on edges. The bricks are allowed to dry until the bricks are become leather hard and moisture content of about 2%. Okay, so here in drying, what we are going to do, the bricks which are molded. Okay, so here you see in the figure, the bricks are kept like this. Okay, so in layer wise you will keep in the first layer longitudinally, then in the second layer horizontally. Okay, so in this way we will keep the bricks so that there will be space between each brick. Okay, so bricks from all the sides, bricks should not be touching to each other. Okay, there should be sufficient space between the bricks for drying. Okay, if you touch all the bricks and keep it, though it will require less space, but the bricks will not get dried. Okay, so one stack or one tire is nothing but one layer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are there here. Okay, 8 to 10 tires we can keep for one heap of brick drying. Understood? Okay, so till what time you have to dry? Unless your brick should contain less than 2% of water. Okay, so the whole water which is present in the brick should get dry away. It should get evaporated. Okay, less than 2% of water should be there. Okay, if it is more than 2%, then your brick is still not dried. Okay, so your brick should get completely dried, or less than 2% of water should be there. Okay, and your brick should become hard. It should become hard. As your brick is losing water, it will become hard. Okay, it will automatically become hard. Okay, so this is called as drying of brick. Next is burning. Okay, burning. In this stage of burning, bricks are burned at high temperature to gain the strength. Okay, after burning the bricks, your bricks will gain the strength. It will become more hard and it will become durable. Okay, more strength, durability, density, and red color appearance. Okay, so strength, durability, density, and red color appearance of the brick comes after burning. Okay, it comes after the burning. Okay, so before burning, your brick will not be of red color. Red color comes after burning of the brick. Okay, so after burning, your brick gains strength, durability, and density. Then red color appearance. All the water is removed at the temperature of 650 degrees Celsius. Okay, when you burn it, to 650 degrees Celsius, whatever the amount of water is there inside the brick will get completely evaporated. But they are burnt at a temperature of about 1100 degrees Celsius because the fusing of sand and lime takes place at this temperature, and chemical bonding takes between these materials after the temperature is cooled down, resulting in the hard and dense mass. Okay, so when you start burning the brick, okay, when you start burning the brick till the temperature reaches to 650 degrees Celsius, okay, till when the 650 degrees Celsius temperature reaches, the all the water which is present in the brick will get evaporated. Okay, then again you have to keep on heating. Okay, you have to keep on heating till 1100 degrees Celsius. Okay, 1100 1100 degrees Celsius. Okay, so at this temperature what happens, the fusing of sand and lime takes place. Okay, in the clay of brick, the fusing means the attachment, or means they will get fused to each other. It will strongly stick to each other. Fusing is nothing but it will stick or get mixed. It will become what to say, it will become like one mass. Okay, two different masses when after heating will get melt and become one mass. So like that is called as fusing. So the fusion of sand and lime takes place at 1100 degrees Celsius. Okay, so at this temperature the fusing of lime and sand takes place. After this you have to cool it down. When your bricks are cooled down, it will reach the hardness, durability, strength, and red color appearance. Okay, understood? No burning. So what we are doing here, when you start burning, unless the temperature reaches to 650 degrees Celsius, all the water gets evaporated. After still heating, when the temperature reaches at 11 degrees Celsius, the fusing of sand and lime takes place, and there will be chemical bonding between the particles of clay, and then when you cool it down, it reaches the maximum strength, durability, and red color appearance. Okay, bricks are not burnt above this temperature because it will result in the melting of the brick and will result in the distorted shape and very hard mass when cooled, which will not be workable while brickwork. Okay, so maximum temperature that you have to heat to the brick is 1100 degrees Celsius. If you heat it for more than 1100 degrees Celsius, then there will be melting of brick. Okay, melting of brick takes place. When the brick starts to melt, it will lose its shape. Okay, the brick will lose its shape. Okay, when the brick is losing its shape, there will not be rectangle. It will not be exactly rectangular one. Means the shape will get changed. Okay, after cooling it down, okay, the brick which is burnt for more than 1100 degrees Celsius, first thing it will lose its shape, and second thing, when you cool it down, it will become very hard. Okay, much more harder than the a normal brick. It will become black. Okay, the color also will not remain. Brick can be burnt using the following method. Okay, in the burning of brick also there are two methods: clamp burning and kiln burning. Let us discuss these two types of burning in detail now. First one is clamp burning. Okay, clamp is a temporary structure generally constructed over the ground with a height of about 4 to 6 meters. It is employed when the demand of brick is lower scale and when it is not a monsoon season. Okay, so when we are going to use clamp burning is a temporary structure. Okay, so wherever you want, you can use this method for burning of brick. Okay, it is a temporary and anywhere you can use this method. Okay, and it is done over the ground. Okay, the burning takes place over the ground. Above the ground, you will make you will arrange the bricks one above other for the height of about 4 to 6 meters. Okay, you will make the height of 4 to 6 meter for this bricks. Okay, for the burning of bricks with this method. Okay, it is above the ground. Okay, it is employed when the demand of bricks is low scale and when it is not a monsoon season. Okay, this method of clam burning is used where the demand is less. Okay, you don't require 20,000, 30,000 of bricks every day. Okay, the requirement is less, like 2,000 or 1,000 or 3,000 max number of bricks, which are with that you can take every day. Okay, so for less requirement, you can go for clam burning, and this method cannot be used in a monsoon season. Okay, when it is a rainy season, at that time you cannot use clam burning. Okay, because if it rain comes, the burning will get stopped. Okay, burning of bricks will get stopped. So that's why clam burning cannot be used in the monsoon season. This is generally trapezoidal in plan, whose shorter edge among the parallel side is below the ground, and then the surface raising constantly at about 15 degrees to reach the parallel edge over the ground. Okay, a vertical brick and a mud wall is constructed at the lower edge to support the stack of the brick. A first layer of fuel is laid at the as the bottom most layer with the coal, wood, and other locally available material like cow dung and husk. Another layer of about 4 to 5 rows of bricks is laid, and then again a fuel layer is laid over it. The thickness of the fuel layer goes on with the height of the clamp. Okay, so here you see what it is telling in the clam burning. You see in the figure, I will tell you. Okay, so it is in trapezoidal position. Okay, in a trapezoidal shape. So the width and length will go decreasing as you go above the height. Okay, as you go on increasing the height, the width and the length of the bricks will start to reduce. Means overall, means at the bottom, as it is a rectangular, the length and width of that rectangular is high. When you go above and above, the length and width reduces. It means it is going in a slope position. Okay, it is going in a slope, and what is that slope? It is at a degree 15 degrees Celsius. Okay, you have to start reducing that edges or the this one edges of that rectangle for 15 degrees Celsius. Okay, then what you have to do, first we at the bottommost portion. Okay, at the bottommost portion, you will place a layer of fuel. Okay, you will place a layer of fuel. Okay, what you can use as a fuel? A cow dung and husk, or any other locally available materials like coal, wood, or anything. Okay, whichever can be used as burning. Okay, whichever can be used as to burn the things like coal, wood, cow dung, etc. Whatever it is, so that can be used as fuel for burning the bricks. Okay, first we have to put a layer of fuel. After that, you have to start keeping the layers of bricks. Okay, after 4 to 5 rows of bricks. Okay, after 4 to 5 rows of bricks, you have to put another layer of fuel now. Okay, one more layer of fuel. Okay, then again bricks of 4 to 5 rows. 4 to 5 rows of bricks, again fuel layer, again 4 to 5 rows of bricks, again fuel. Okay, so like that you have to keep on increasing the height. Okay, and height should be maximum 4 to 6 meters, not more than that. Okay, 4 to 6 meters is maximum height. So how you have to do? First layer is of fuel. Okay, coal, wood, cow dung, husk, you can use as a fuel. Okay, first layer fuel, then 4 to 5 rows of bricks, then again fuel, then again 4 to 5 rows of bricks, again fuel. So like that you have to keep on increasing. Okay, so at the sides you have to prepare a wall. Okay, a temporary wall. You can see here. Okay, this is a temporary wall. Okay, so this is a temporary wall. In this temporary wall, in between the raw bricks and wall, you have to keep the this one. You have to put the fuel here from all the sides. Okay, on all four sides of the your raw bricks, you have to construct a wall, and in between the wall and your raw bricks, you have to put the fuel. Means it is burning from the bottom as well as from the sides. Okay. So this is called as, this is about clamp burning. Next, fire is ignited at the bottom. Once the fire is started, it is kept under the fire by itself. Okay, it is kept under the fire by itself for 1 or 2 months, and same period is needed for cooling of the brick. Okay, in the clamp burning, what happens? You have to burn it for 1 or 2 months, depends upon the your brick. Okay, depend upon the amount of fuel that you have used, and you have to keep on checking the brick. Okay, so fire is ignited from the bottom and then it will start the burning. Okay, there are some of the disadvantages of the clamp burning. Bricks at the bottom are overburnt. Okay, the bottommost portion of the bricks will be overburnt. Then at the topmost layer, the bricks will be underburnt. Okay, then the middle portion of the bricks will be of good quality. Lowermost portion, overburnt bricks you will get, and at the topmost portion you will get the underburnt brick. Brick lose their shape, and the reason may be they're descending downward once the fuel layer is burnt. Means what will happen? See, for every 4 to 5 rows we have kept one layer of fuel. Okay, so when that fuel is completely burnt, so what will happen? The volume will reduce. Okay, so the layer of fuel is there. For that layer of fuel, after when that fuel gets burnt, after burning, the means the thickness layer. Okay, the thickness layer of the fuel will reduces. Understanding? After burning that layer of the fuel, it the thickness reduces because it gets converted into ash. Okay, ash is very less in volume before burning. Okay, before burning it is a fuel. After burning it gets converted to ash. Means the thickness of that this one reduces. So your bricks will settle down. Okay, bricks will settle down. So when it is settling down, there may be chance that it will lose its shape when it gets completely dipped into that hot fuel. When it goes down. Okay, when it is overburnt more than 1100 degrees Celsius, it will melt and it will lose its shape. Right? So that kind of a thing will also happen here. This method cannot employ for the manufacturing of large number of bricks, and it is a costly in terms of fuel because large amount of heat is wasted. Okay, you see here it is above the ground. Okay, so this method is used for above the ground. So after burning, a large amount of heat will get wasted because surrounding area will also get heated up, and most of the energy or the heat will get absorbed by the surrounding. So hence here it becomes costly in terms of fuel. It cannot be employed in monsoon season. Okay, so this method of burning we cannot use in the rainy season. Understood? So this is about clamp burning. Okay, so one more this thing you can see, this is also a clamp burning. Okay, but here the method of burning is different, but it is also above the ground. And here this is a wall. Okay, this is a wall, and behind this you have kept the layer of bricks. You can see here the bricks are there. Inside you can see the bricks are visible. Understood? here in the topmost portion also you can see a layer of brick is visible. Next is kiln burning. Kiln is a large oven used for burning of the brick. Generally, coal and other locally available materials like wood, cow dung, etc. can be used as a fuel. Okay, there are two types of kiln burning: intermittent kiln and continuous kiln. Okay, so what is kiln burning here? Kiln burning is nothing but a very big and large oven will be there. Okay, here we are having a very big and large oven. So in that the burning of kiln and the burning of bricks takes place. So in the kiln burning also we have two methods, that is intermittent and continuous. So let us see what is this intermittent and continuous. Intermittent kiln, these are also the periodic kiln, periodic kind of kiln, because in such kiln only one process can take place at one time. Various major processes which takes place in this kiln are loading, unloading, cooling, burning and of bricks. Okay, so you see here in intermittent kiln what will happen in the process of burning. Okay, so in the process of burning there are stages. What are those stages? First is loading. You have to load all the bricks. Okay, you have to bring all the raw bricks and you have to do the loading, means you have to arrange them. Okay, you have to keep one above the other, so that is called as loading. After loading you have to the actual process of burning takes place. Okay, actual process of burning takes place after loading. So after burning what will be there? Unloading. Okay, unloading. When the bricks are completely burnt you have to take out from there. Then next is cooling. Okay, so loading, unloading, cooling will be there in the burning process of bricks. Okay, so in intermittent kiln what happens? So at one time only one process you can do. Okay, first you can do only loading. After completion of loading you can burn those bricks. Okay, after completion of burning you can unload that. After unloading you can keep it for cooling. It means at one time you can do only one thing. Either first you have to do loading, after completion of loading, burning, after completion of burning, unloading, after unloading you have to go for cooling. Okay, so at one time only one process. Okay, so that is called as intermittent kiln, one process at one time. Okay, in intermittent kiln also there are two methods again. Okay, so there are two methods. Okay, don't get confused here. So here we are having in the burning we have two types. Okay, clamp burning and kiln burning. In kiln burning we have again two types, intermittent kiln and continuous kiln. In intermittent kiln again two types, updraft intermittent kiln and downdraft intermittent kiln. Okay, downdraft kiln are more efficient because heat is utilized more by moving the hot gases in the larger area of the kiln. In updraft kiln the hot gases are released after they rise up to the chimney entrance. Okay, I will explain you with the help of figure. Okay, because orally if I tell you, you may not understand. So see in the figure here. Okay, so this first figure is intermittent downdraft kiln. Okay, in downdraft kiln you can see the burning takes place from here. Okay, the burning takes place from here. Okay, the heat is going inside the kiln. Okay, heat is going inside the kiln. So these are the bricks. Okay, the different layers of bricks which are kept. So here your heat is getting round. Okay, when it may get again here like this. Okay, it may get turned. Okay, so here completely it will go like this. Means heat once it goes inside the kiln, it will take the rotations. Okay, it will take the rotations. After taking so many rotations, then it will go out. Okay, after taking so many rotations it will go out. But in updraft kiln what will happen? From the bottom burning takes place, then at the top chimney will be there. Okay, it will not take much rotation here. Once it will directly, the hot gases and all will go directly upward and it will get released. Okay, so directly it will get released in the updraft kiln. So here more amount of heat will be required. Okay, so this heat which is produced, this will not be used again and again. But in downdraft kiln, what will happen? The hot gases will rotate there itself inside the kiln again and again. So at last it will go out from the outlet. Okay, so as that same heat is repeating and rotating there itself, so it will become more effective. With the help of less fuel, more burning can be takes place. Understood? In the downdraft kiln. In updraft kiln, heat will go directly into the chimneys and it will go away. So which one is more effective? Downdraft kiln. Next is continuous kiln. This kiln just a second. Okay, these kilns are called as continuous because all the processes of loading, unloading, cooling, heating, preheating takes place simultaneously. Okay, in the previous one, how it was? Only one process at one time. First loading you have to do, then burning, then unloading, then cooling. Okay, so but here in continuous kiln, so at a time all the processes can be done. Okay, at a time all the processes can be done. Okay, first loading. Okay, then burning will take place for that. So when means I will show you in the figure here, you see. Okay, again in the continuous kiln, types are there that I will show you. First, I will explain you this. In the continuous kiln, all the processes can be taken place at one time. Okay, so here first you have to load the bricks. Okay, then before loading, okay, another before that heap of loading, another will be one more heap which was already burnt and cooled, and that can be taken away. Then next heap of brick will be there that you have loaded. Okay, then after loading you have to burn it. So when the burning is taking place for that heap, another heap of bricks can be taken from the behind and you can start the loading. Okay, when the previous heap is getting burnt, another heap is going on to load. Okay, so when that first one which is burning, after completion of burning, cooling will take place for that. Okay, when that one is cooling, so the recent one which you have loaded, that you can burn. Okay, when this one is burning, another from behind you can bring and keep for loading. Understood? Okay, you will get a clear idea when I will explain you with the figure. Okay, in the continuous kiln, there are two types: Wolff-Trench kiln and Hofmann's kiln. Wolff-Trench kiln consists of a rectangular, circular, or oval plan shape. Okay, so this trench kiln, it may be having a shape of rectangle, a circle, or oval. They are constructed below the ground level by excavating a trench of the requirement width for the given capacity of brick manufacturing. Okay, so this type of kiln is the underground. Okay, so it is underground. So how you have to make it? By excavating the ground. Okay, you have to excavate the ground and you have to make a big trench. So underground the burning takes place. So this trench is divided generally in 4 chambers, so that 2 number of cycles of brick burning can take place at the same time for the larger production of brick. Okay, so in Wolff-Trench kiln, you will be having generally 12 chambers. Okay, 12 different chambers will be there. In that 12 different chambers at a time, in the 2 chambers burning can take place. Okay, in 2 chambers we will bring and keep bricks for loading. Another 2 chambers burning will be taking place. Another 2 chambers at a time, means all the processes will be taking place at a time in that overall kiln. Okay, so or it may happen that the cycle is carried out at one time in all the 12 chambers by using a single process in 2 to 3 chambers at the same time. Okay, you can use it as this one also, means in all the chambers one process also you can do, but there is no use of that if you are going for bull trench kiln. So continuous you can work there, continuous loading, continuous burning, all the processes will be going on at a time at different chamber. Okay, the structure is underground, so the heat is conserved to a large extent, so it is more efficient. Okay, the structure is underground, so the heat is conserved to a large extent, to more extent, so it is more efficient. See, so this is a underground structure. Okay, it is underground structure. So when it is underground, what will happen? The heat which is coming out from the sides. Okay, so from the sides it will touch the on the surrounding on all 4 sides there is a earth. Okay, there is a earth. So then again heat will get pushed into the bricks itself. Understanding? As it is closed from all 4 sides, it is underground. No, if it is above the ground, then the heat will get into the environment. So loss of heat will take place. But here what is happening? The heat is getting back into the bricks itself. So here there is a saving of heat. Once fire is started, it constantly travels from one chamber to the other chamber, while other operations like loading, unloading, cooling, burning, and preheating taking place simultaneously. Such kilns are generally constructed to have manufacturing capacity of about 20,000 bricks per day. Okay, so this type of kiln burning, in this method you can produce 20,000 bricks in one day. Okay, the drawback of this kiln is that there is no permanent roof, so it is not easy to manufacture the bricks in the monsoon season. Okay, so though it is an underground one, but here you don't have a permanent roof. Okay, you cannot have a permanent roof, so it will be difficult for this to produce the bricks in the monsoon season. Okay, because when rain takes place, the surrounding soil absorb the water. Okay, and it will become cool. Okay, it will cool down. So that's why producing the bricks in monsoon season by this method is also difficult one. Okay, you can see here in the figure. So figure is also available here. Whether my voice is audible to you people?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, audible.
Okay. Okay, you can see here in the figure. This is a bull trench kiln. Okay, here you are having the different chambers. Okay, so setting back green bricks. Okay, the raw bricks will be kept here first. Okay, then here you are having the movable chimneys. Okay, so these two are movable chimneys. Okay, these two chimneys can be moved along any this one, in whichever chamber you want. You can bring these chimneys, means these two chimneys can be moved from one chamber to another chamber. Okay, so where you want to burn the bricks, to those this one chambers, you can move the chimneys. Okay, so here we are keeping the raw bricks. Okay, so when after keeping the raw bricks, you can bring these chimneys here back upon here. Okay, here you can keep the chimneys, then here burning can take place. Okay, so till that time when this here burning is taking place, here you can keep the behind, you can keep again the raw bricks. Okay, when this is when the burning completes here, you can bring those chimneys here and keep here, then here burning takes place. Okay, and then in other chambers other works will be taking place, like preheating, firing zone, stoking holes. Okay, so whatever loading, unloading, those all things will be taking place simultaneously. Okay, at a time all the works will be going on. Okay, loading, unloading, cooling, burning, so these all processes will be taking place at a time. Next is Hoffman's kiln. Okay, it is a Hoffman's kiln. So here what happens is, the main difference between the Bull's Trench kiln and the Hoffman's kilns are, Hoffman kiln is an overground structure, while the Bull Trench kiln is an underground structure. Okay, so this kiln is a overground, okay, above the ground, but Bull Trench kiln is a underground. Okay, Hoffman's kiln have permanent roof. Okay, so this is having a permanent roof, but for Bull Trench kiln there is no permanent roof. Okay, for Bull Trench kiln there is no permanent roof, it is underground, but Hoffman's kiln is, it is above the ground, and it is a building type of structure, factory type. Okay, Hoffman's kiln is a factory type structure, so it is having a permanent roof. Okay, and this can be used for 12 months a year. So there is no effect of monsoon season here in this type of burning in the Hoffman's kiln. Okay, so every day you can produce the bricks, okay, for all 12 months. Hoffman's kiln is generally circular in plan. Okay, it is generally circular in plan. It is constructed over the ground. The whole structure is divided into 12 chambers, and the entire process takes place simultaneously like Bull Trench kiln. Okay, so here also all the processes can be taken place at a time. So you can at one chamber you can do the loading, at another chamber you can do the burning, in another chamber you can do the cooling. Okay, in one more chamber you can be unloading. Okay, so at a time all the processes can be taken place same as that of Bull Trench kiln. Okay, so what is the difference? Bull Trench kiln is a underground, Hoffman's kiln is a above the ground. Okay, in Bull Trench kiln you don't have a permanent roof. In the Hoffman's kiln you have a permanent roof. In the Bull Trench kiln you cannot burn or you cannot use it in the monsoon season. In the Hoffman's kiln you can use it 12 months a year. Okay, every day you can produce the bricks. Okay, so remember the difference between Hoffman's kiln and Bull Trench kiln. So you can see the figure here. Okay, so in first left side figure you can see the loading of bricks. Okay, and in the right side pic you can see the unloading of bricks. Okay, in one side, this is the inside figure, means inside the kiln. Okay, so in left hand side there is a loading, in right hand side it is unloading after burning. Okay, so these are the raw bricks and these are the manufactured and burnt bricks. Understood? So this completes your manufacturing process of bricks. Okay, so we have discussed all the stages. Is there any doubt in burning of bricks? Any doubt?